They expect you to react. That's how the world controls you. A word, a look, a comment, a message left on seen. And suddenly your peace is gone. Your heart races, your mind burns, your emotions take over, and before you even realize it, you've given away your power. But what if I told you the strongest person in the room is the one who does nothing? Stay with me. And before we go deeper, subscribe to this channel, because what you're about to hear will change the way you respond to everything in your life. Silence is not weakness. It is control. Most people react instantly. They argue, they defend, they explain, they try to prove themselves. But every reaction is a form of surrender. It means someone else has gained control over your inner state. A true Stoic understands something deeper. Not everything deserves a response. Not every insult deserves your attention. Not every situation deserves your energy. When someone disrespects you, they expect a reaction. When life throws chaos at you, it expects you to break. When people misunderstand you, they expect you to chase their approval. And when you don't react, you break the pattern. You become unpredictable, untouchable, unshaken. Think about it. Why do people argue? Because they want to win. Why do people insult? Because they want control. Why do people provoke? Because they want a reaction. And when you give them nothing, they lose. The Stoic mind is not cold, it is disciplined. It feels everything, but chooses what to express. You don't ignore emotions. You master them. Because reacting is easy. Control is power. Imagine this. Someone speaks badly about you. Lies. Spreads rumors. Attacks your name. The average person reacts immediately. They defend themselves, argue, try to clear their name. But in doing so, they give more attention to the noise. The Stoic does something different. They pause. They observe. They understand that truth does not need defense. It reveals itself over time. And they stay silent. Not because they are weak, but because they are strong enough not to be dragged into chaos. You see, every time you react emotionally, you lose a piece of your authority. But every time you choose calm over chaos, you gain strength. This is not about being passive. This is about choosing your battles wisely. Because not every fight is worth your energy. And not every voice deserves your response. There is a kind of power in walking away. A kind of power in saying nothing. A kind of power in letting people think they've won, while you keep your peace. The world is loud. People are loud. Everyone is shouting to be heard, to be right, to be seen. But the Stoic moves in silence. They don't need validation. They don't chase approval. They don't react to every opinion thrown at them. They understand that people project their own pain, their own insecurity, their own confusion. And reacting to that only pulls you into their storm. So instead, you remain still, calm, grounded, unmoved. This doesn't mean you never speak. It means when you do speak, it carries weight. Because it's not driven by emotion, but by clarity. There is a difference between reacting and responding. Reaction is instant, emotional, uncontrolled. Response is thoughtful, calm, intentional. And in that space between what happens to you and how you respond, lies your power. That space is everything. Train yourself to live in that space. Pause before you speak. Breathe before you act. Think before you respond. Because once words leave your mouth, you can't take them back. But silence is always within your control. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is nothing at all. People will test you. They will provoke you. They will misunderstand you. They will judge you. Let them. You are not here to prove yourself to everyone. You are here to master yourself. And mastery begins with control. Control of your mind. Control of your emotions. Control of your reactions. Because when you can't be controlled, you become free. And freedom is the ultimate power. So the next time something triggers you, don't react. Pause. Observe. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Most times, it won't be. And in that moment of silence, you win. If this message is speaking to you, subscribe to this channel. Because we're building a mindset that cannot be shaken, a life that cannot be controlled, and a peace that no one can take away from you. Stay calm. Stay silent. Stay powerful. And as you continue walking this path, something subtle begins to change inside you. At first, it feels uncomfortable. Because you're used to reacting. You're used to defending yourself. You're used to explaining, proving, arguing, trying to make people understand you. But now, you're choosing silence. You're choosing restraint. You're choosing control. And it feels strange, almost like you're losing. But you're not. You're unlearning a lifetime of emotional habits. You're breaking free from the need to respond to everything. You're stepping into a different kind of strength. A quiet strength. A rare strength. The kind of strength that most people will never understand, because it requires discipline. And discipline is not loud. Discipline is not dramatic. Discipline is quiet, consistent, and powerful. There will be moments when your silence is misunderstood. People will think you're weak. They'll think you have nothing to say. They'll think they've defeated you. Let them think that. Because the truth is, you're no longer playing their game. You're not interested in winning arguments. You're interested in mastering yourself. And that changes everything. You see, when you stop reacting, you start seeing clearly. You notice patterns. You understand people better. You realize that most conflicts are driven by ego, not truth. You begin to see how emotions can blind judgment. And instead of being pulled into every situation, you rise above it. You become the observer. And the observer always has the advantage. Because when you're not emotionally involved, you can think clearly. When you're not reacting, you can act wisely. When you're not triggered, you remain in control. This is where your true power begins. Not in proving others wrong, but in staying right within yourself. And here's something most people don't realize. When you don't react, people reveal themselves. They show their intentions. They expose their character. They make their own mistakes. Because without your reaction, they have nothing to feed on. No fuel. No resistance. No drama. And eventually, they burn out. Silence is not just protection. It's revelation. It shows you who people really are, without interference. And once you see clearly, you move differently. You trust differently. You engage differently. You protect your energy like it matters, because it does. Your energy is your life force. Every reaction you give costs you something. Your peace. Your focus. Your clarity. And when you give that away too easily, you lose yourself. But when you guard it, when you choose when and how to respond, you take your life back. Now listen carefully. This doesn't mean you tolerate disrespect. It doesn't mean you accept everything. It means you respond from strength, not emotion. There's a difference. A powerful difference. You can walk away without anger. You can set boundaries without shouting. You can correct someone without losing control. Because true strength is not aggressive. It's composed. It's precise. It's intentional. And the more you practice this, the stronger you become. Not overnight. But slowly, steadily, deeply. Until one day, something happens. Someone tries to provoke you. Something tries to disturb your peace. And you feel it, but it doesn't move you. It touches you, but it doesn't control you. And in that moment, you realize you've changed. You're no longer the person who reacts. You're the person who chooses. And that choice is everything. So keep going. Keep practicing. Keep choosing silence when others choose noise. Keep choosing calm when others choose chaos. Keep choosing control when others lose themselves. Because this path, it's not easy. But it's worth it. And if you've made it this far, it means something inside you is ready for this level of discipline. Ready for this level of growth. Ready for this level of power. So don't stop now. And if you're serious about becoming someone who cannot be shaken, subscribe to this channel. Because this is just the beginning. There's more to learn. More to master. More to become. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. And remember, you don't need to react to be powerful. And as this mindset begins to take root in you, you'll notice something even deeper. The noise around you doesn't disappear. People will still talk. Situations will still happen. Life will still test you. But your relationship with it changes. What once disturbed you now feels distant. What once controlled you now feels small. Because you've created space between yourself and the world. And in that space, there is clarity. There is peace. There is control. You start to realize that most things are not worth your emotional investment. Not the opinions. Not the insults. Not the misunderstandings. Not even the temporary failures. Because everything passes. But the way you handle it stays with you. That becomes your identity. And identity is built in moments like these. Small, quiet moments, where you choose not to react. Moments where no one is watching, but everything is changing inside you. This is where character is formed. Not in loud victories, but in silent discipline. And here's the truth most people avoid. Reacting feels good in the moment. It gives you a sense of release. A sense of control. A sense of winning. But it's temporary. Because after the reaction comes regret. You replay the words. You rethink the situation. You wish you handled it differently. But silence rarely brings regret. Silence gives you time. Time to think. Time to understand. Time to choose wisely. And wisdom always outlasts emotion. So when you feel that urge to react, that fire rising inside you, that need to respond immediately, pause. Just pause. That pause is your power. That pause is your control. That pause is the difference between who you were and who you are becoming. And don't underestimate how powerful that is. Because most people never develop that ability. They live their entire lives reacting. Controlled by circumstances. Controlled by emotions. Controlled by other people's actions. But you're stepping out of that cycle. You're becoming intentional. And intentional people shape their lives differently. They don't let every situation define them. They define how they respond to every situation. That's what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Not talent. Not luck. But control. Control over the mind. Control over emotions. Control over reactions. And once you have that, no one can take it from you. Not criticism. Not failure. Not rejection. Because your strength is no longer dependent on what happens outside. It's built on what remains steady inside. That's real power. And with that power comes a different kind of confidence. Not loud. Not arrogant. Not attention-seeking. But quiet. Unshakable. Calm. The kind of confidence that doesn't need to prove anything, because it already knows. And when people see that in you, they notice. They may not understand it. They may even feel uncomfortable around it. Because your calm exposes their chaos. Your silence exposes their noise. Your control exposes their lack of it. And that's okay. You're not here to fit in. You're here to evolve. To grow beyond the patterns that keep most people stuck. To rise above the habits that drain energy and destroy peace. And the more you do this, the more your life begins to align. Your decisions become clearer. Your relationships become healthier. Your focus becomes sharper. Because you're no longer distracted by every little thing. You're no longer reacting to everything. You're choosing your direction. And that changes everything. So from this moment on, make a quiet promise to yourself. You will not react impulsively. You will not give your energy away carelessly. You will not allow others to control your inner state. Instead, you will pause. You will observe. You will respond with intention. Even when it's hard. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when every part of you wants to react. Because that's where growth happens. Not in comfort, but in discipline. And if this message is resonating with you, subscribe to this channel. Because this journey, it requires reminders. It requires reinforcement. It requires a community of minds that are focused on growth, control, and true strength. You're not just watching a video. You're building a new way of living. A life where your peace is protected. A life where your mind is strong. A life where your reactions no longer control you. So keep going. Stay committed. Stay aware. And remember, the more you master your reactions, the more you master your life. And the deeper you go into this way of living, the more you begin to understand something that most people miss their entire lives. Control is not about holding everything in. It's about knowing what deserves to come out, and what should remain within you. Because not every thought deserves a voice. Not every emotion deserves an action. And not every situation deserves your presence. This is where your standards begin to rise. You stop entertaining everything. You stop responding to everyone. You stop explaining yourself to people who have already decided not to understand you. And in doing so, you protect your peace. But more importantly, you protect your direction. Because every reaction is a distraction. Every unnecessary argument, a detour. Every emotional outburst, a delay. And life doesn't wait. Time keeps moving. So the question becomes, where is your energy going? Is it building your future? Or feeding temporary battles that don't matter? A Stoic mind is always aware of this. Always measuring. Always choosing. Not out of fear, but out of purpose. You begin to ask yourself deeper questions. Will this matter tomorrow? Will this help me grow? Is this worth my peace? And most of the time, the answer is no. And when you truly accept that, you become selective. Not cold. Not distant. But intentional. You give your time to what matters. You give your energy to what builds you. You give your attention to what aligns with your growth. Everything else, you let go. And letting go is a form of power. Because holding on to everything is a form of weakness. It drains you. It scatters your focus. It keeps you tied to things that don't deserve your presence. But when you let go, you free yourself. Free your mind. Free your emotions. Free your path. And that freedom allows you to move differently. You become calmer. More focused. More grounded. Less reactive. Less affected. Less controlled. And slowly, you start to feel something rare. Peace that doesn't depend on circumstances. Peace that isn't shaken by opinions. Peace that remains, even when life gets difficult. That's the reward of discipline. That's the result of mastering your reactions. And don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean life becomes easy. Challenges will still come. People will still test you. Situations will still push you. But now, you meet them differently. You don't panic. You don't rush. You don't react without thinking. You pause. You assess. You respond with clarity. And that alone puts you ahead of most people. Because while others are losing control, you're gaining it. While others are reacting, you're deciding. While others are overwhelmed, you're steady. And that steadiness becomes your advantage. In your work, in your relationships, in your decisions. Because clarity leads to better choices. And better choices lead to a better life. So every moment you choose not to react, you're not losing anything. You're building something. Strength. Discipline. Awareness. Control. And these are the qualities that shape your future. Quietly. Consistently. Powerfully. So don't be discouraged if it feels difficult. That's part of the process. Growth is uncomfortable. Change is challenging. But the result is worth it. A mind that is calm under pressure. A presence that is unshaken by chaos. A life that is directed, not controlled. And if you've been listening, if you've been applying even a part of this, then you're already on a different path. A path most people will never choose. A path of discipline. A path of awareness. A path of true strength. So keep walking it. Even when no one notices. Even when it feels slow. Even when it feels like nothing is changing. Because everything is changing. Within you. And that's where it matters most. If you're committed to becoming this version of yourself, subscribe to this channel. Because this journey doesn't end here. There's more to master. More to understand. More to become. And as you continue, you'll realize something powerful. You don't need to react. To prove anything. You don't need to speak. To be heard. You don't need to fight. To win. Sometimes, the greatest victory is simply staying in control. And now, as you reach this point, understand this clearly. This is not just a message you listen to. This is a line you've crossed. Because once you become aware of your reactions, you can never go back to being unconscious. You will notice it. Every time anger rises. Every time someone tries to provoke you. Every time your mind pushes you to respond instantly. You will feel that moment. That space. That choice. And in that choice, your new life begins. So from here on, move differently. Walk into situations with awareness. Speak with intention. Protect your energy like it is something valuable, because it is. And remember, you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to answer every opinion thrown at you. You don't have to prove yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Let them think what they want. Let them say what they will. Let them act how they choose. While you remain grounded. Remain focused. Remain in control. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what they do. It's about who you become. And who you are becoming is someone rare. Someone disciplined. Someone calm under pressure. Someone who cannot be easily shaken. That is power. Real power. Not loud. Not aggressive. Not attention-seeking. But quiet, steady, and undeniable. So as you leave this moment, carry this with you. When life gets loud, be still. When people get emotional, stay grounded. When situations try to pull you in, stand firm. Because your peace is worth more than any reaction. Your control is worth more than any argument. Your growth is worth more than any temporary satisfaction. And the more you live like this, the more you'll see it. You're no longer reacting to life. You're leading it. If this message has changed the way you think, even a little, subscribe to this channel. Because this is where you come to sharpen your mind, strengthen your discipline, and build a life that is truly your own. Stay consistent. Stay aware. Stay in control. And remember, the world may try to move you, but only you decide. If you react, it will cause you nothing but to me is something. Subscribe to this channel for more powerful Stoicism.